For us, Senua's journey began back in 2017, but her battle had raged on long before we were able to meet her. In Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, we got to see how Senua fought for the soul of her lover, who had been brutally murdered when raiders came to her village. Her march through Helheim was also a walk through the twisted reality of Senua's mind as the darkness constantly threatened to consume her. It was a mind-bending, reality-twisting adventure that gave players a glimpse into the life of someone who suffers from psychosis, as well as a fully captivating story about strength and never backing down. It was a journey unlike anything else we've ever played. I'm Ron Burke, Editor-in-Chief for Gamingtrend.com, providing voiceover for our reviewer, Cassie Peterson, and this is our review of Senua's Saga, Hellblade II. Senua's Saga, Hellblade II takes us through the next chapter in Senua's life, though this time the narrative is shifted. While Senua is still haunted by the demons of her past, she's come to accept the darkness. Her psychosis is a part of her, but it doesn't tie her down. She possesses the ability to see the world through the most unique lens. She sees what others cannot see, feels what others cannot feel, and can do what no other can do. The game opens up on the stormy waters of the Atlantic, where Senua is about to board a slaver's vessel headed to an unknown land, but she's not there by accident. She's there to put an end to these slavers to save her people. However, what she finds on the other end of this boat ride is a horror far bigger than anything she could have imagined. The realities of this land are far more twisted and grim than the literal battles through hell, and this time around, her fight is with humanity's greatest faults. There's a lot of symbolism throughout this game, and Senua's actions, and why she's here, and what she's fighting for. The biggest difference this time around is that Senua won't have to face this battle alone. She has companions to help guide her, pull her away from the dark, and keep her from giving up. And I don't just mean the ones in her head. Of course, they have their own motives, but they help her nonetheless. I also noticed a change in the tone of the voices in Senua's head, where they were almost constantly telling Senua to turn back or telling her that she was going to fail in Senua's sacrifice. Senua's Saga sees, or rather hears, these voices trying to encourage her. Of course, they still express their doubts, and she's often taunted by how bipolar they are sometimes, as well as the memories of Dylan and her father. The best way to experience Senua's journey is with headphones for full 3D binaural sound. This was used in the first game as well to help immerse the player by fully surrounding them with Senua's thoughts and the looming darkness. This really helps to bring Senua's psychosis out, making you feel like you're the one hearing the voices and sounds. Ninja Theory continued their work with Professor Paul Fletcher at the University of Cambridge, as well as those who have lived experiences with psychosis, to bring Senua's perspective of the world to life in a way that feels true and thoughtful. Being on the edge of my seat was more than just a figure of speech, as I was literally teetering, waiting for whatever I felt right behind me. The setting of Senua's Saga is a stark contrast to her time in Helheim. This game takes place in the beautiful island country of Iceland, with incredible vistas that have been captured using photogrammetry and digitization. The world is full of all kinds of color, and the sun shines bright across the fields and the mountains. The use of Unreal Engine has no doubt played a huge part in bringing even the tiniest specks and pebbles into great detail and with pristine physics. Costumes for the characters as well as props were also handmade in the real world before being put in the game, capturing even the smallest of details. Costumes are very much a reflection of the characters that wear them, representing where they come from and the kind of lives that they live. Best of all, it runs remarkably well on PC. The footage you see running in the background represents bleeding-edge hardware, running on an RTX 4090 and at 4K resolution, and backed by an Intel 13900K and 32 gigs of DDR5. But it also runs remarkably well on mid-tier hardware and at 1440p. If you have the means to run DLSS or FSR, you'll also be treated to a solid bump in frame rate and without meaningful negative effect on the visual beauty of the game. For those who have played the first game, Senua's Saga will feel very familiar, and honestly, if you haven't played the first one, please do. It's a classic case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The gameplay is virtually the same as the first one with simple combat and interaction mechanics. The biggest difference is how little combat there is in comparison to the first game. Sure, you'll go through a sequence of taking down a string of enemies, but this game focuses more on the narrative experience as well as the unique way in which Senua sees and interacts with the world. I was excited to see the lore stones make a return, telling more stories of the Northmen's mythology, and there are other hidden secrets to find that give advice or tell stories of Senua's homeland. The small team at Ninja Theory pride themselves on creating incredible, immersive, and deep stories. To quote the studio mission, they like, quote, to craft life-changing art with game-changing tech. And the Hellblade games have been that mission successfully realized. Senua's Saga took me on a journey full of deep emotions, strength, and discovery, hitherto unseen except in its predecessor. I'd like to say thanks again to Ninja Theory and to Xbox for providing this opportunity to dive back into Senua's story. I've been looking forward to this for what feels like an eternity, and I'm so glad that it lives up to the reputation of the first game. The game isn't particularly long, able to be completed in roughly 8 to 10 hours, even for a completionist. I'm a bit sad that there's no physical release for this one, part of the ever-growing trend of games only to be released digitally. That and the short runtime and the fact that the first game released at just $30 makes it a little harder to swallow that $50 price tag. In summary, Senua's Saga Hellblade II is a stunning and immersive storytelling experience that really puts the player into the mind of its titular character. It's even more narratively focused than the first game, and not to its detriment, with a bigger emphasis on how Senua sees and interacts with the world around her. The whole experience from start to finish has been beyond memorable. We give Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 a 95%. Thanks for watching our review. If you liked it, hit that like and subscribe. I'm pretty sure you know how YouTube works at this point. I'm Ron Burke, Editor-in-Chief for Gamingtrend.com, stepping in for Cassie Peterson, saying thank you very much, and we'll see you again very soon.